Hi, this is Joyce Van Setters. Welcome to the Pink Book series, stories about mental health and art. If there's something that resonates with you, I hope you join. Welcome to the Pink Book podcast. I am your host, Joyce Van Setters. These are stories of battling mental health through creative outlet. Today I have a guest, Michael Checo.
Yes.
Welcome to the Pink Book podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Michael Checo, known as Checo, is the CEO of Stache Barbers in Union, New Jersey. And he's here to tell us how he battles mental health through his creative outlet. So we're going to start by you introducing yourself.
I'm Michael Checo, better known as just Checo. There's just too many Michaels out there.
And Checo's more unique.
Yeah, it was just the name is a good background story of like who I am and my characters. I feel like your name says a lot of like who you are.
Right.
So obviously there's a lot of Michaels out there, and I was a very outspoken, outgoing kid. Then I had a class that it was three of us, three Michaels. So the teacher started calling all of us by our last names.
Oh, okay.
But mine sounds like a nickname.
And yours sounds just cool.
It's 5 letters. Yeah, it sounds
right?
cool. It's very like cool. It was me and then this other kid, Michael Yotis.
Okay.
It's literally spelled like Yo Dice. So the kids just stuck with it. They call him Yotis. They call me Checo. And then freshman year, I did like a junior ROTC program. And there they only call you by your last name.
Oh, right.
So by then it was just like, oh, that's Checo the Barber. And then that's the name just ran off from there. I love it. Yeah.
So tell us where you're from.
I was born in New York. My parents are from
part?
Dominican Republic. I was born in Manhattan.
Okay.
Yeah, Washington Heights.
Okay.
You know, the landing pot of Dominicans when they first come here. So my parents are from Dominican Republic. I was born in Washington Heights.
Okay.
I did live a short stint in Dominican Republic when I was very young, and then we moved to Newark, New Jersey.
Okay.
So I did a lot of growing up in Newark.
What part of Newark?
North. No.
Okay.
I was not in the Spanish side of Newark. I was on like South 18th Street with 14th
I didn't mean. I'm just asking.
No. It's just funny. Like if you're from the area, you know, like there's so many different parts in Newark.
My grandparents are from Newark, so we spent like almost all of our summers in Vailsburg.
Okay.
So I know that part, and obviously downtown.
So it's funny. I grew up on South 18th Street with 14th Ave. So I'm like by Avon, by Springfield Ave.
That's Vailsburg.
Like,
yeah.
So not like.
All right, you from Newark then.
Yeah, I'm from. That's what I'm saying. I'm from
Newark. I got you.
And we're gonna spin back because it's like I talk to people. They're like, "Oh, I'm from Newark," and in Union, where I live now. Yeah. I grew up with a lot of my friends are Portuguese.
Okay.
And they think of Newark and they just think of Ironbound.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
see, that's different.
That's
what
I mean. Different town.
Different.
That is completely different.
Right.
So when they think of Newark, they just think of Ironbound. I'm
right.
like, I have a different perspective of Newark, of like how I grew up.
Yeah. 18th Ave. I mean.
Yeah, I'm on South 18th with 14th Ave.
Okay.
My father owned the bodega, the corner store.
Okay.
And we lived in the building. And that was a lot of my upbringing.
Okay.
Was just living in there. And there was.
How old are you?
I think from like 3 to like 9.
How old are you now?
32.
Oh, I was gonna say we probably were there at the same time, but I got you by 20.
I only chill with people that were about 20 years older than me almost my whole life.
I love it, really.
Yeah. Cause so I was gonna say when I grew up there was a 2-bedroom apartment, and it was me, and I'm the youngest of 3. I have 2 older sisters. So it was a 2-bedroom apartment, and it was me and my sisters, and we shared a bed till I was about 6.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. And then my parents just like, all right, you're getting a little too big. So they fit another twin, and they got
in the same room.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's only a 2-bedroom apartment. So they took like a nook where the closet was. It was just like, we're just going to put a twin bed there. And then they put the clothing rack high. So like above me was clothes.
Right.
That was just like, here's your little cot to sleep in. And yeah, that was kind of like the upbringing, but I didn't have nowhere to like play.
Okay.
You know, like my older sister would watch TV, one TV in the living room. My other sister would be in the room playing with Barbies.
Right.
And I'm just over here with like a Hot Wheel, like driving everybody crazy, just annoying my sisters.
Did you go outside a lot?
I couldn't.
I mean, it's not the best. Yeah,
we couldn't. We had like a parking
lot
lot in the back, which wasn't really a parking lot. It was just like a thing, and we could barely go out there. We had a hallway, which was like maybe 20 feet, and I would literally rollerblade back and forth. So I started going to my dad's bodega and stocking fridges
Yeah.
at like anywhere from like 4 years old, 4 or 5. I
Wow.
would go there, just stock fridges, this and that, talking to 30-year-old men.
Yeah.
And I think that's what sparked my maturity, or like just being able to hold conversations
Okay.
with older people. Because my dad was just there with his employees.
Yeah.
And I think when around that age, my dad was like in his upper 30s, probably like 38, 30
Okay.
something. Um, yeah, because my dad had me when he was 30, I
Okay.
believe. Yeah.
You went to high school in Newark?
No, no, no. I did high school in Union.
Okay, so you lived there until you were 13, you said?
No, till I was 9.
Till you were 9.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And wasn't 9 right about the time you were
Yeah,
cutting?
that's when I met Chaz. When I moved to Union is when I met Chaz.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got
yeah,
it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
tell us about that.
So when I
By the
moved
way, cutting hair at 9 is crazy.
well, that's the thing, is like the reason I even got it was because I was used to working at a bodega.
Right, right.
Like I chilled with 30-year-old men, probably even older,
Yeah.
and I would stock shelves, stock fridges, work the register, do everything like that at that age. And and then when I moved to Union, back to school, I was looking for a barbershop.
Hmm.
It was 4 blocks away. I went in there and got a haircut. I didn't even get a haircut by Chaz. I got a haircut by somebody else that was in the shop.
Okay.
But Chaz was just like, hey, he saw me. He was like, hey,
You were by yourself?
I went with, I think, me and one of my cousins
Okay.
or something like that at the time. And he was like, hey, I'll give you $5 if you sweep up. And I said, bet. And I never left. I went
Oh
there
my
every
God.
day after school to get my $5. And then I started getting like cool with the guys. I started knowing them. And I think Chaz gravitated because he saw that I wasn't a kid that needed to be told like what to do. I was curious. I
Hmm.
was just like, I knew how to work. Like some kids just like, oh, this is how you clean a table.
Right, right,
He
right.
could just be like, clean that table. I'm like, all right,
And you
bet.
do
Where's
it.
the Windex? Like I got it.
Right.
Something like that. So I think that's what he gravitated to.
Got it.
And me, I was just like, cool. This is like grown men. I don't have brothers.
Right.
So it was the coolest thing to me.
I love that.
Um,
What was the transition from you sweeping floors or cleaning tables to actually getting like clippers in your hands?
so by this, I worked pretty much the whole school year, and it was like close to the summer times because I started staying later.
Okay.
And Chaz was closing up, and he was going out that night, and he cut himself.
Hmm.
And then he was just like, hey, can you pass like the razor on me, or can you like clean up my neck and my beard? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I grabbed it, and I had like a little niche for it.
Really?
So yeah. So he was just like, oh, like you kind of know what you're doing.
Right.
Uh,
And that was just from watching?
yeah, just from watching.
Yeah.
Growing up, I say there's always two types of kids: kids that like actually are into their styles
Yeah.
and want to get a haircut,
Hmm.
and kids that have to get haircuts.
Okay.
I was the kid that always wanted to get a haircut. Like
Okay.
I went to that shop because I was like, oh, this is a cool shop.
Right.
Don't take me to little chop shop down the
Right,
block. I
right.
want to go to this shop. I want my nice fade. I was into that
Okay.
already. My mom has nightmare stories about it. But so I was already into it, and then once I did it, it's kind of like I had like a little niche for it.
Hmm.
So Chaz was like, bring a friend, try to cut them. So he was trying to like lead the horse to water,
Right.
see what I do with it.
Right.
And I brought a friend. I was just like, cool, like
You weren't
let's do
playing.
this. Yeah, I wasn't playing, so I brought one. I tried, and I spent about like a year, 2 years there, just like cutting, like maybe on Sundays after hours, doing this, doing
Hmm.
that, cutting myself.
Okay.
But in that time, I also learned how to clean the shop. I learned how to work the register. I would take apart and clean the barber's clippers.
Wow.
So I got really nifty with like fixing clippers.
Hmm.
I learned how to take them all apart, how to do all this stuff. So that was like a little hustle
You
that I
taught
had.
yourself that?
Yeah, just
Okay.
breaking things and putting it back
Right.
together. So it was like I've always had like little niches like that. Like anything that I liked, I like to figure out how it worked
Hmm.
and make it my own, or do it like do something to it.
Right.
Uh so I did that for a while, and then Chaz ended up selling the shop. He sold it to this lady, and I stayed there for maybe about a year, and then I was just like, I'm out of here. It's not the same. It wasn't the shop anymore. All the
Oh, okay.
barbers left. There was
Mm-hmm.
a new crew. The lady, it was turned into more to like a unisex shop. It was
Okay.
ladies coming in and this and that, and it was nothing bad. It's just not what I
Yeah,
wanted.
it wasn't your steez.
Yeah, it wasn't my steez. She had like an assistant now, and it's just like I'm not barely sweeping up the floor or anything
Right.
anymore. So, and by that point, I just started cutting my friends in my basement, and this was about like middle school.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah, I started. Yeah, and then see, my dad had a bodega, so I would go with him to like uh Jethro or like Restaurant Depot
Yeah.
or something like that, and I would buy bags of chips and sodas and all that stuff. So when the kids would
Are you
come, I would
serious? And you
sell
would
it.
put that in your
I'll put that in my basement. Yeah, I had a basement. I
So you
built
had
a
a
whole
full-on
barber
barber
shop.
shop.
Yeah, I did. Eighth grade, I had wood shop, and I made a barber station in wood
Oh
shop.
my God.
Yeah.
That is dope.
Yeah. My like everybody was
Do you have
supportive.
pictures of that still?
I think I still have pictures.
That's
Yeah. I
crazy.
still have pictures from the basement and stuff like that. Yeah, I definitely have pictures.
And how long did you do that?
I did that from, let me see, like probably 12 to about 15. So for 3 years.
So you were a freshman in high school, right? 15 or
15 was freshman, sophomore year. I started working at a barbershop.
okay. Now
Yeah.
tell me how you got that job.
So freshman year, I did ROTC, so that like
Okay.
boosted my clientele because the kids all needed haircuts
Okay.
every 2 weeks. So I got cool with the sergeant and the colonel, and I said, "Hey, can I come here to cut kids on uniform days or competition days?"
Right.
And there were certain kids that couldn't afford, like the family couldn't afford to get the haircuts as much as we were regulated to, because we had uniform days twice a month. So that means twice a month these kids had to have fresh haircuts
Yeah.
because
I'm
sideburns
an
couldn't.
ROTC girl too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So sideburns can't pass the ear, all
Right.
that stuff. So the sergeant would pay for those kids' haircuts. So I did something like, hey, like give me $5 for those kids. Like, don't worry about it. I see what you're doing. I'll help
Wow.
you out. Give me $5 and I'll cut those kids, and I would do it there. So that boosted up my clientele through the roof because I went from cutting just freshmen that I knew to cutting seniors, juniors, all that stuff. Then I went away that summer. I went to the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
This is one of the last times because my parents just sent me for like the whole summer. This is the last time I went for the whole summer. I was gone for 2 months. So all these kids didn't have a barber for 2 months.
Oh.
Yeah, all these kids. So they all started going to a barbershop in town. And the owner of the shop was just like, where are you guys? Like, he started asking, like, where do you guys all used to come? Like, where do you guys all get a haircut? And they were like, oh, Checo, he's gone. He's gone for the summer.
Right.
This is that. So I came back and I had a voicemail from them saying, like, hey.
From that barbershop?
From the owner. Yeah,
Okay.
he was just like, hey, we see all your clients have been coming here, this and that. Let us know when you're back from vacation. We want to speak about getting you a chair in the shop. So I came back.
Wow.
And I knew this barber.
Okay.
Because since when Chaz sold his shop, he left to go do music stuff. Then he came back and he started working at other shops.
Right.
And anywhere Chaz would go, I would go. And I would get a haircut and I would still do the honors and like sweep up the whole shop. So I got cool with all those guys.
Okay.
So this owner was one of those barbers.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, he left. And he had that shop and we got real cool. And I learned a lot. But it was one of those shops that was very much like a chop shop. Like,
okay.
Not expensive haircuts. Everybody was just there cutting in and out, and that it was that kind of style.
Right.
But it did show me a lot. It showed me how to deal with customers because I was only used to dealing with my friends.
Right.
I did only a selective haircuts. Young kids. I was just doing certain fades and certain brooks and certain tapers, and that's it.
Right.
Then it went to like I have to really do consultations. I don't know what you want. And I misinterpret a lot because some guys like, oh, I just want like a 4 or whatever. And he's like, no, I meant 4 inches. And I'm like, oh. So I did a lot of like my errors there.
Okay.
And I learned, but that was something that I learned very early on. Right. So I was very happy at the time. And then you learn a lot of other stuff. I ended up leaving that shop. As soon as I graduated, I was like, I'm out of here.
As soon as you graduated high school?
Yeah, because by the time I was a junior and senior in high school, I was already doing hair shows.
Wow.
Yeah, I started just scaling.
Just flourishing.
Yeah, and it got to a point that I looked around and I was just like, there's nobody in this shop that is better than me.
That's on your level, right?
So I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, if you are the smartest person in the room,
find a new room.
Get out of the room.
Yep.
So I looked around and, I was young. I was 17 at the time. And I looked and there was a 40-year-old man that cut hair, great barber, but didn't know how to do shear work. Like, he couldn't do, we were speaking about it earlier. Like they didn't have the full package,
Right.
and I'm like, I don't want to be that.
Right.
I was like, if I stay here, that's what I'm.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me
You'd
get
be
out of here.
limited.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was looking for a push and I got a shove. That's a lesson that I learned in life.
Wow.
Sometimes you're looking for, you don't know what your next step is,
Right.
what it is, not, and you're looking like, all right, where am I going to push myself? Then you get a shove. So I was out. I went back to cutting in the basement. Then I found a shop, and
Okay.
Chaz was working at a shop that
Okay.
was at the time very
You
elevated.
guys stayed in touch, I assume.
Yeah,
Right.
always.
Okay.
I've always stayed in touch with him, and then we started working together. And this time when we worked together, we were I would I don't know if I want to say the same level, but we were like, yeah, same level. We were
Okay.
both cutting. We were both barbers at this
Yeah.
time. I wasn't a young kid. Like I was still young, but I wasn't like I was
Yeah.
cutting next to him.
And you put some years in. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly. At this point, I put some years in. At this point, I was 18, so I've been
wow.
cutting for almost 10 years. It was
That's
like, yeah,
crazy,
yeah,
Checo.
yeah. I don't like I'd say seriously cutting. I
Yeah.
started at like 13,
Okay.
but I don't discredit my 9, 10,
Yeah.
and 11.
Well,
Like,
you were learning.
yeah. So it's like
That's like if
school.
someone says I started drawing at age 5,
Hmm.
and then now I'm an artist at 25. Well, at age 5, you were learning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I don't discredit 9 or nothing like that.
Yeah.
But even if I want to now say that I been cutting, if I want to just credit when I started at the barbershop, that's already 15 years.
Right.
Because I started at 15.
Okay.
So what, 17 years actually. So, but yeah, at 18, I started working at this shop. And once we got working together,
Mm-hmm.
it's just skyrocketed. Like the way we found that the way we both worked was like a really good partnership.
Yeah. Chaz
He
said the same thing too, by the way.
he
We had
he
him on the other podcast.
yeah, he's very creative and I want to say very technical.
Yeah.
Uh I'm very hands-on. I like to break everything down and all that stuff. And Chaz creative flow is just flowing. And sometimes I gotta be like, yo, pull him back, like, hey, Chaz, like take it easy. We gotta
Right.
figure this out. But it worked because he pushed me and I checked him. So once we got together, it
You
kind of
got
like
checked by Checo.
yeah, I guess, yeah. But it was like a good like big brother, little brother
Yeah.
situation. He was a huge mentor to me and yeah, we were there for like 2 years and it got to a point that like people thought that we owned the shop. We started bringing celebrities in. We were going all around doing shows and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And I had no intentions in opening up a shop at all.
Okay.
None. But we were growing and because at that point I was doing a lot of hair shows, I was doing this, and I knew a lot of barbers that didn't own a shop because they
Mhm.
couldn't. They're traveling half of the year
Right.
doing this, doing that. And I was just like, is that the route that I'm going? I was also started cutting a lot of celebrities at the time.
Right.
So it's like, is that the route that I'm going? I also started building a good clientele base. So I'm like, I didn't know what direction. And
Mhm.
once again, looking for a push, you get a shove.
Right.
End up leaving back to the basement. This time I moved it to the garage because I was
Right.
like, my parents is just like,
You always had a home though.
yeah, exactly. So I moved it back to the garage. And that's another lesson that I learned that was just like, if you're good and people love you, it doesn't matter where your location. People
Yeah.
will go to you
They'll find
as
you.
long as
Yep.
you're good. Because
Exactly.
I'm like, I don't need a storefront. I don't need this.
Yeah.
If you're that good and you're locked in,
Yeah, they'll follow.
yeah, they'll
Yeah.
go. People felt that was like, I feel more comfortable in your garage than I did in the shop where you were.
Wow.
Yeah,
Because it's you.
exactly. And it was my home. And, I was at the time I was still living with my parents. So people come, my mom was serving people coffee, doing all
Right.
that stuff. And I'm just like, I want that to be transitioned to the shop. I want people when they come to our shop, I want them to feel like they're walking into my living room.
Did you still have the chips?
yeah. No, I didn't have the chips.
Upgrade?
No.
Did you upgrade?
I had like water and
Okay. Yeah.
sparkling water and other stuff.
Right.
No, but no. I didn't keep up. I didn't. Um, but we were there for a little while
Mhm.
because I left, and that same week I started looking for places.
Okay.
And I was looking for this one spot, and then I came across our location. And I told Chaz once I found it, I was like, "Hey, if I don't open up the shop, will you come with me?" And he said, "Yeah, of course." Because I was like, "I won't feel right opening up a shop with anybody else
Right.
but you." He said, "Yeah, of course." I was like, "But don't leave where you're at," because he was still at the shop.
Right.
And it took a lot of like he was very smart he didn't react when I
Yeah.
left because I
Okay.
didn't have the best exit.
Okay.
and he didn't react because he was newly married. He had a 1-year-old. I'm like, yeah, please. Like, I live at home with my parents. I'm
Right. You're
20 years
Gucci.
old.
Right.
Yeah, I'm 20 years
Yeah.
old. Like, I live at home with my parents. I pay a cell phone and a car. Like, that's like
Right.
I'm good. So I'm fine, but I can't have you be that reckless.
Right.
So I was like, stay. I was like, but leave properly.
Okay.
Like, give the notice, let them know when time is due. The owner ended up finding out, gave him the boot.
Okay.
So then it was both of us in my garage.
Right.
It was me and Chaz working in the garage.
Wow.
Yeah. We had a full flowing barbershop in the garage. But we started doing construction, started doing everything, and yeah, we were able, and this was during Hurricane Sandy time. I don't know if you remember, 2012. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that delayed us quite a bit, but we were able to open January 14th, 2013.
Okay.
And yeah, I was 20 years old when I opened up the shop, which was, I now looking back, is insane. At the time, I was just like, what's next? I was very hungry and going out there, and nobody could tell me no, because when I went to my landlord initially to look for the spot, I told him, hey, I'm interested in this spot. He looked at me and turned me down instantly. Right, I'm 20 years old. Obviously, now I look back, I was like, yeah, smart. He's a smart man.
Yeah.
But he also didn't know me, so he didn't give me a chance.
Right.
So what did I do? I went to one of my old teachers that I was really cool with, that I knew had a real estate license.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, say you have a client that wants to rent this out, and you're my realtor.
No way.
So he went, drew up the contract, gave the name, gave all the info. That landlord didn't see me again until I was there signing the papers.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What was he blown away? Like,
yeah, he was just like, oh. And then I showed him, I was like, yeah, I'm serious about this. And he was just, all right.
Wow.
Yeah, and I made him sign
That's a great story.
I made him sign a 10-year contract.
Wow.
My first lease was 10 years.
That's like a never give up story.
Yeah, because my dad is very smart, and you know, naturally when they said, oh, like, do a lease for a business, usually either year to year or they do a 5-year automatic renewal. My dad was like, no. He was just like, get a lowered rent. Tell them you'll lock them in for 10 years. If they could lower the rent, and then do a lower percentage on the taxes every year to lock in. He was like, and tell them that if you lock me in for 10 years, you have nothing to worry about for 10 years.
That's
and amazing. I was able to lock them in. Yeah.
That's amazing. And you're still there today, obviously.
Yeah. I'm still there.
I have my Stache story. We didn't know each other. I walked in there one day because the girl I used couldn't cut my hair.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to be a walk-in. And they were like, no. So I was telling that story to Chaz, and he was like, what?
Yeah. We're very grateful that we are very busy.
Yeah.
So
it's a nice spot,
we do take walk-ins.
Well, I wanted to be a walk-in that was getting her hair cut like right then. And so it wasn't that they didn't take walk-ins.
They were a chop shop.
Yeah, they were just like, it's going to be a minute.
Yeah.
So I just didn't have the time.
Yeah. But yeah, so I and I think I had that attitude, is like, I was never satisfied, never enough. And it continued, and it still continues now.
I love that.
Like I'm starting to realize now, as I get older, I'm starting to realize it. A lot more people are trying to like be like, hey, like, you do too much.
Yeah.
All the time. And that's something that as I get older, I'm starting to really like analyze, look at myself. I feel like in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of like looking in the mirror, really staring, like, all right, what am I doing? What is this for? And what am I really putting myself into?
Yeah. Well, I love that story from 9 all the way till now. But I want to talk about your mental health a little bit. I know sometimes that's scary for people to talk about, and I feel like we've cultivated a world where it's not okay to talk about it, and not only not okay, but not okay to like vomit your mental health on people, even your closest friends and family. Nobody wants to talk about it. Let's talk about your mental health a little bit.
Okay. I agree with you.
Okay.
But then at the same time,
well, it's cool to talk about it now.
Yeah and no, because I feel like if you're a good barber,
Mm-hmm.
that also means that you're very um well rounded
Mm.
and you know how to speak to people, because the people that men don't have a lot of safe places where
Right.
they could vomit and say everything, and this
Right.
is not. And a lot of barbershops, as much as it is chit chat and humorous and get your mind off of things,
Yeah.
what barbers say to their clients,
Mm-hmm.
the men take very serious.
Mm.
And a lot of time you have to give advice.
Okay.
And that's something that I've learned very early on. Like, I have to know how I'm speaking towards people, because I might be the only person they open up to,
Right.
and the only person that they will take some unbiased advice from.
Yeah.
I'm not their family. I'm not, for the most part, I'm not their
Yeah.
family. I
Right.
know this is not. I'm just somebody that they feel as comfortable with to talk to.
Right.
So, I've learned that many of my lessons I've learned early on. That's something I learned very early on, which is why I feel like I've gotten really in tune with mental health, period. Not saying that I know mine or I'm in a good state,
Mm-hmm.
but I just know, being aware about something, it's very different from knowing what to do.
Right.
First is awareness, and then you be like, okay, how do I handle this?
Right. And the creative outlet, we're talking about using creative outlet to battle mental health. You've done that,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
something you probably do every day.
Yeah.
Um, what tips would you have for someone trying to do that?
Um Kind of
For finding their creative outlet, I'd say.
like, be aware of your surroundings, right? So I say that because, like, if I've had plenty of days that's been super stressful and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff, and I go to work and I can't take it out on my employees. I can't be there, this and that. So, but they know, because we're a tight knit family, and when they see me just zoned into a haircut,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, "Oh, Checo's, he's on one." Like, I'm not that I'm moody, but I'm very quiet and I sit in the back. And if I'm not chatting with the guys, they're like, "Just don't mess with him."
Right.
But also at the same time, it's probably gonna be one of the best haircuts you gotten.
Oh, so they
So
want you to be a little moody.
yeah, they're like, yeah, like.
Right.
But at the same, like, I found, as like, you be aware of your surroundings, like, because a lot of people, I've always heard the saying is like, "Oh, you love what you do, so you don't really work a day in your life." And I was like, yeah, that's true, but doesn't mean that you don't have to, like, you just have to find love. It doesn't have to be in your work.
Right.
Um, you could love what your job allows you to do,
Hmm.
right? Like, you could work a 9 to 5 that you hate, but
Yeah.
you're off on weekends. You get paid vacations. You get this and that. So
Right.
you find your love somewhere else. You find your love being with your family. You find your love. Oh, I get to go on road trips every weekend. I get to do whatever it is.
Right.
You find your love, and that could be your outlet. You don't have to love what you do at work.
Right.
You could love what your work allows you to do, because I love what I do, but my love for that doesn't let me allow to love anything else.
Hmm.
I love my family. I love going on trips. I love traveling. I It doesn't give me a pass to do any of that. I have no paid time off.
Right.
I have no weekends. I could literally work 24 hours
Wow.
without a problem. Like, thankfully I've been good with the clients and all that stuff. But like, if I
Mm-hmm.
want to book myself to 3 a.m., I could book
You
myself.
could.
People would come.
Wow.
So, in saying that, it's just like, that has taught me, it's just like, it's not that you love what you do, is that you got to find the love in something and figure out how to work on that.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I think anything of a tip that I would give anybody to finding any outlet in what they do is like, it can be work, but it could be in what your work allows you to do.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now, you and I have talked a little bit off camera, and I know that you're diabetic. Can you talk
Yeah.
to us about that?
Type 1. So yeah, I've been diabetic since I was 2 years old.
Wow.
It runs in my family on
Mm-hmm.
my father's side. I have about like 7 cousins that have it. I have three 3 aunts and uncles that have like it's just running rampant through my
Yeah.
father's side. And it's created struggles. And as a young kid, it was harder to deal with because I didn't understand.
Right.
As an adult, I understand it, but I also don't know a life without it. So I think it's harder if you get it when you're older.
Mm.
As much as having it at the age I have it, it's really hard on my body,
Right.
and it's really hard on my mental. But it's kind of like I don't know any better. So you have that bliss of
You don't know anything
naiveness.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is, like when a kid is naive and they don't know any better, it's
Right.
kind of a beauty in it.
Yeah.
So there is a beauty in it that I don't know any better. I don't know how it's not to feel the way that I do when my sugar is low, when my sugar is high, when anything like that. Like I don't know what normal is. Like I don't know what it is to like eat something and not have any feelings after.
What are some struggles that you go through with the diabetes?
Uh, a lot of depression. There's a lot of depression. You catch yourself being really sad. When I was younger, it was a lot of anger.
Mm.
I think between teenage regular hormones
Yeah.
and it's just angry
Right.
teenagers, and then you throw diabetes in it. It's just like, oh no, you reached another level. I was a very very angry teenager,
Really?
and I would get in a lot of trouble. But I guess because I had diabetes, it came on early. That's something that I'm gonna constantly repeat. I did a lot of stuff early,
Okay.
and I think that's a great attribute of my life because I'm very grateful for it now.
Mm.
Um, so when I was younger, I went through a rebellious stage that I stopped taking my insulin. I would lie to my mom saying I took it, this and that. I've been hospitalized for it.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was just like, I didn't, I was like, I'm not gonna take it. So
Yeah.
what if it kills me? Type of thing. Like it's
Got
just
it.
so over it.
Yeah.
It was annoying, and now I look at it as like, if I live right by it, it is a healthy lifestyle. It is actually a good lifestyle to have like a diabetic, like that you have to eat good.
Right.
But it does do a lot of struggles on your body and everything like that. Because one organ isn't working 100. Your body's perfectly balanced.
Right.
Perfectly balanced. So if something's not working all the way, other parts overcompensate, and after
Exactly.
a while they start like, hey man, we're getting tired
Right.
of picking up the slack.
Right.
So then you start having other complications, and then that brings on like other health issues or other mental issues, because just like, why am I constantly having health issues? Why am I having this? Why am I having that? And I'm still young, and I've gone through a bunch of health issues. And that weighs on your mental too, because you're just like, something's always wrong with me.
Yeah.
And a lot of anger. I catch myself being angry, but now that I'm
Because
older,
of the diabetes, or how
yeah,
you
if
feel?
my sugar goes high,
Uh-huh.
anything gets me angry. But since now that I'm self-aware,
Right.
I know that I'm tripping, and I'm
Okay.
like, I catch myself and I just stay quiet to myself.
Okay.
I don't react. I don't anything like that. Like,
Is it a feeling like that comes over
yeah,
you?
yeah. It's kind of like, it's funny because now I laugh at myself. Because I literally, something will happen. I'm like, why am I angry? And I look, I was like, oh yeah, my sugar's high. Yeah, like, oh god, there we go.
Right.
You again. You again. It's
That's
my
funny.
sugar. Yeah, like sometimes it could just be the way somebody talk. I just want to snap, and I'm like,
Right.
what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And which is why I think I'm quiet, because I just learned to just shut up. Like, you know what? It's not the world. It's
Right.
you. You gotta check your sugar. Get it under control.
Are you quiet in general?
No.
You're not.
I feel like what's that, introvert extrovert? Like,
Yeah.
I am an extrovert, but I
Okay.
need to be an introvert because of work and because of my diabetes.
Okay.
I talk to average 14 people a day. So I get exhausted
Yeah.
from talking and soaking everything in, and this is not. But I like going out. I like seeing people and that, but I am totally okay with being in silence.
You are. Okay.
So I think it's a healthy
Yeah.
balance to a point.
That's good. What are some other things that you're doing at the shop?
Oof.
I know you brought us coffee.
Yes. I'm doing a lot. We have clothes, like I have kind of like streetwear and stuff like that. We do
Merch.
Yeah, we do a lot of merch. We have our own capes. We have our own razors, geared towards the barbers.
Mhm.
We have merch geared towards everybody. We have coffee. We just dropped a beer. We did a collab with Twin Elephant, which is like a
Oh, I saw
brewery.
that. I
Yeah.
saw that on your
So now
Instagram.
we
Yeah.
have beer. Um, I
You have
also
it. You sell it in the shop or online?
no, they sell it.
Oh, but it's your.
Yeah, but I could serve it at the shop.
Got it.
I can't
Okay.
sell it at the shop.
Right. I was about
Um,
to get you in trouble with that.
yeah, like no, I don't sell beer at the shop. But no,
That's what you get for not cutting my hair.
why they leave out here in handcuffs? Like,
Right.
I mean, I did one podcast and now I'm
Right.
getting
Look
locked
look
up.
at me now.
um, no, but yeah, we doing beer, and then this last year I've been super focused on a nonprofit that I started.
Oh, tell me about it.
So it's called the Stache Foundation, and I always done a ton of charity work.
Mhm.
I grew up in Union, and because of the community and everything like that, I've been able to succeed and open up a shop and do everything like that. And I'm very much about giving back.
Okay.
I wouldn't be where I was from like if it wasn't for people like Chaz. So I think just anybody reaching out to a young kid, you don't know what potential they have.
Right.
Uh, so I've always done that, but I've always worked at third party companies, this and that. And I'm like, the struggle that I always see is that they're like, oh, like we want to give kids free haircuts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the idea. And they're like, oh, they think it's cool, but they can never find barbers.
Right.
They can never find anybody to commit to the job because one, they're not paying and they just think it's like, oh, just come and cut on this chair and do
Right.
this and that. It's just like, it's a lot more than that. It's a lot more. So I started a nonprofit that basically we go through communities and we work with the community or we work with the local, uh, any business in town, and
Mm-hmm.
we start fundraising money to give kids free haircuts. My
Wow.
point is, I want to start basing and really helping low income or anybody to give kids free haircuts. I
Mm-hmm.
want all kids to have free haircuts. Yeah.
That's great.
And we've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of work, but now that the foundation is open, I have a lot of work that's coming out. I've just been building up everything. We recently worked with Union Police Department,
You
and
did.
we were able to cut from both of the middle schools and the high school and the elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to cut a bunch of kids for like the beginning of summer for
Really?
Union. Yeah. So we worked with all the public schools in Union. I did a
Where
lot
do
of
you
work
do
with
this?
at my barbershop.
At your barbershop.
But we've done it. I've done it inside of a Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
I've worked inside of a Boys and Girls Club for 2 years
Okay.
straight. 2 like full school year seasons. I would go there every Monday
Okay.
and cut kids for free.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like stuff like that we're doing. We're doing stuff like if we have a safe
Mm-hmm.
barbershop, then the kids could come there. But say you're in the community and it's not,
Yeah.
I work with another nonprofit called Buzzbox that will go and build a barbershop somewhere or get a barber to come to a safe place so the kids could get free haircuts.
What do you mean build a barbershop? Like just like a setup?
Yeah, so like we built one in the Boys and Girls Club, but with them they have containers that
Okay.
we could turn into a barbershop. They have buses like
Got
like
it.
like a van.
Yeah.
They have a sprinter. They have a box truck. So, like, say we're in a neighborhood that is not safe.
Yeah.
Cool. This van is coming. Every Monday, we'll pull up in front of the school.
Mm-hmm.
We'll work with the school. Like, how many kids do you have? This is how many kids we're going to cut. Boom. And we'll show up every time and cut kids and cut kids and
Wow.
cut kids.
And are you getting funding for it or it's all
Yeah. So the Buzzbox has been doing it for a while. So I teamed up with them for like those places. Right now, I'm still working on getting the media out there, getting
Okay.
everything going, getting funding going, and all like that.
Mhm.
I'm getting a great feedback. I'm getting all that stuff, but it takes a while to like
Yeah, of
really
course.
get everything
Of course.
going and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's been my main focus this year so
I love
far.
it.
Yeah.
I wanted to circle back to when you were in the barbershop saying the one that you worked at, when you said the guy didn't know how to use shears.
Yeah.
Did you teach yourself how to use shears?
For the most part, yeah.
Or-
Watching.
Because I heard, are you a cosmetologist too?
Yeah, I'm a fully licensed cosmetologist.
Talk to me about this.
Yeah. So the thing is, at the time, there was no barber license in Jersey.
Right.
So Union High School had a cosmetology program, and I'm not the best student, and like it's 200.
Union High School had a cosmetology?
Yeah, they have a cosmetology program.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Union High School has a cosmetology. If I wasn't able to get in there, I could have gone to Union Votech and then
Mhm.
got it through the Votech program. But I'm like, do it right in high school. Like I
Right.
have to graduate high school. Might as well get my license here.
And do what you want. Do
Yeah.
what you love.
Um, so freshman year, I was very smart and very charming for my age. Uh,
No,
I
I don't
uh,
believe that.
I I I went to that teacher. I was just like, "Hey, look, these are my clippers. I'm a barber. I'm getting in your class." And she was just like, "You're in, kid." Like that. And every year I would go and talk to her. This now I had her and I had my English teacher.
Okay.
It was because of them that I even graduated, that I got through cosmetology and all that stuff. So I commend them, and they helped me out
Do they
tremendously.
know about your shop in the neighborhood?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
love
They
it.
come, they support my event.
Hmm.
I recently got honored at Union Township for
Congratulations.
Hispanic Heritage Month,
Nice.
and they both came. Yeah,
That's
they were both
nice.
there. Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, at what was it? The junior year, I started
Mhm.
cosmetology, but by then I was already cutting. I was
Right.
already working in a barber shop,
Right.
uh, and that's when I was like, these guys don't know what they're doing. So my cosmetology teacher started taking us to the hair shows, and I'm like, the closest thing I could do is do like women bobs cuts. That's
Okay.
the closest thing to barbers that I
Okay.
could get at the time.
Right.
So I started taking a bunch of classes on like bobs and short
And that
and
was in
pixie cut
then,
and all that
right?
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, in for girls. I wasn't
Yeah.
trying to cut
Yeah.
girls, but that's the closest thing I could get to it.
Right.
I always said if I did women hair, I would be a colorist
Okay.
because I can't do styling,
Okay.
and I don't feel like a woman's haircut is done unless you blow dry it
Yeah.
and style it,
Yeah.
and I can't get through that.
Okay.
I struggle to do a ponytail at first.
Do you?
Yeah, well, I never did until I was in cosmetology. I never did it. Like that was the first thing the cosmetology teacher
Yeah.
said. You got to do a perfect ponytail, no lumps,
Don't
no
you have a
free.
daughter?
I'm talking about 10 years or
Oh,
15 years ago. Yeah,
okay.
yes.
Okay, I got you.
But
I'm thinking you're doing okay.
no, but
Got
like
you.
yeah, in cosmetology school, that was one of the first things that we had to do a
Okay.
ponytail. These girls were all done, and I'm
Yeah.
just like,
You're like, this ain't working.
as soon as I grab it and then I go for the other thing, it all comes apart. Like, what are you guys talking about? And then I always struggle with styling. I
Okay.
can't get the styling done for women's haircut.
Really?
Or like yeah, like I could do layers, I could do this, I could
Hmm.
do that. But
Do you know how to color? Since you said you'd be a colorist?
yeah, 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 I've
Well, you
taken
learned that,
yeah,
obviously, in
yeah, yeah,
cosmetology.
cosmetology school is like a license. You learn
Yeah.
the rules and regulations. Doesn't mean you could drive.
Okay.
You have to practice it.
Okay.
You have to
All right.
practice it.
Got
So
you.
like yes, I've practiced like color. I don't say I'm fully confident
Okay.
in it, but
But
anytime
that's what you would do.
yeah, yeah, yeah. If
Okay.
I was to lean into that realm, I would be a colorist. But everything I've learned, I've brought into my world. Like I've
Okay.
colored guys' hair. Now guys get highlights on stuff.
Yeah.
I've colored my own hair like plenty of times. Um, but yeah, I continue doing a lot of shear cutting classes even outside of school.
Hmm.
Like the summer of junior year to senior year, I took a Paul Mitchell hair cutting class.
Wow.
Yeah, on my own. So I came back to the barbershop that I was at
Right.
with a diploma and everything. And they're like, "Why'd you do that?" Yeah,
Elevate.
exactly. And that's why I was like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
Like I can't. Because I started keeping tabs on my numbers. I started like doing all this stuff, and they're just like, "Why you keep going to these hair shows?" It's like, stop, man. Just sit here and get money.
Wow.
I'm like, you guys are charging $13 a haircut.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not staying here,
No.
bro. Like,
Exactly.
I'm not staying here.
Exactly. So, Checo, what's next for you? I mean, I know you got your shop, you got all your merch and coffee and stuff, which you love,
Um,
but are you going to take a break from working so much or?
yeah, I'm trying to. This is the stage of life I'm in.
Okay.
Uh, because I feel like everybody builds business and they want to be successful. And then when you look at that, it's like, yeah, then, but what's the next step? And a lot of
Right.
people don't know that. And I think it's delegation. I'm in my delegating stage.
Okay. I like that.
Because you can't continue to be the workhorse of everything.
Right.
You have to learn how to delegate, and most people don't.
Right.
A lot of people figure
That's
out
a
how to start a
skill.
business.
Yeah.
A lot of people know how to run a business. They don't know how to delegate because you can't be on top of all the business. A lot
Yeah.
of people want to say that they're entrepreneurs, but that just means they work multiple jobs.
Right.
And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know if anybody takes this the wrong way. I don't know anybody that is successful that works multiple jobs.
Right.
Like actually works like two jobs and
Right.
this and that.
Not
No,
focus on just their.
you have to master one, learn how to delegate that one,
Yeah.
and then start another one. And
Yeah.
that's a true entrepreneur. Not because you do this and you sell this on the side and you do
Right.
this on the side. Hey, I'm an entrepreneur.
Right.
What are you mastering?
Right.
None.
No, that's a good point.
So for you to get somewhere, you got to learn how to run it and learn how to delegate that business and let that be
And it's
there.
still making you
Still making revenue,
money.
still making that. So that's the stage that I'm at now.
Okay.
I completely close my books. I don't take any new clients. I don't take any, I have a short list of clients that I take, and those are the only people that
And
are
that's
able
it.
to even see me. Yeah. Because I can't do it all.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a full-time father, trying to, run this business, do that,
Yeah.
start this nonprofit, to do all this stuff. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It is
You
a
gotta
lot. It is a
delegate.
lot. And that's the only way I could see it really being working, is I got to take a step back and
Right.
learn how to delegate. Because I'm very much a person like, hey, can you do this, or this is how it needs to get done? You're doing it wrong. I'll show you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna do it
Yeah.
myself. Like,
That's
I'm not
my
gonna waste
problem.
my time.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard, because it's just like,
I'm always like, it'll never come out the way I do it anyway. So
yeah. And I think you have to learn to be okay with that, as long as it's done
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Might not be your way, but as long as it's done right.
Right. And you're right. It's also a process of saying, well, let's just change this. That's still delegation. I don't
well,
even get to that point.
yeah, well, that's the hard part, because another part that I've been really like practicing on, and it has to do like mental stuff, is learning how to talk to people.
Yeah.
We all receive information differently. So I've been really honing on what's my goal of this conversation. I want to tell you something. So I have to learn how you receive information to tell you the information that way.
Right.
Right. So I have an example. It's totally made up. I have two sisters.
Okay.
I have one sister that she could come downstairs dressed crazy. And I'm like, yo, go change. You look insane.
Right.
And she'll be like, all right, fine, I got it. And she'll go change.
Right.
I say it to my other sister. She's going to cry, have a whole fit about it, take 3 hours,
Yeah.
do all this stuff.
Yep.
To her, I got to be like, hey, did you buy a new dress? You
Right.
should try that on.
But it's great that
Same
you are able
message.
to do that.
I'm learning.
Okay.
That's the stage that I'm in right now. And that takes a lot of mental things. It's just like, I want to be naturally as direct. I'm very transparent. I'm very blunt. I'm very this and that. And I want to say that. But not everybody handles that well. If I speak blunt to somebody, I may make you defensive.
Right.
And now I'm getting a defensive. So I'm not trying to battle you. I'm trying to give you information. I'm trying. I have a goal. I need you to understand this.
Right.
And if I make you defensive, it's not going to work. So I need to learn how you receive information to talk to you.
That's a really good tip, actually.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Checo, where can people find you?
On Instagram, I'm under Checo Professional Barber.
Okay. It's Checo.
Checo.
Okay.
But the main page is Stache Barbers. Yeah, Stache Barbers, and I have Stache Life.
And spell Stache for us.
Stache.
Okay.
And then Stache Life is Stche. Life is Lyfe.
Okay. And then on the website is where they can purchase the coffee.
Yeah, website has everything. It has the coffee. It has all the events. It has everything that we have going on to book appointments and everything. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
That
Thank
was
you for having me.
excellent. Of course.
I love doing this.
And we want to let you know we're still on Apple, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube. The best is yet to come.